Great. We are recording. Kirsten, thanks for doing that. Thanks for all the support of ATARC for this DevOps Community of Practice Tech Sync. Good afternoon, everyone, at least Central Time. I'm calling in from Huntsville, Alabama. Today, we're going to have Samir with Gitlab sharing some capabilities that they have available to help folks in their agile cloud migration and/or DevOps, DevSecOps journey. And today is actually, this event is our inaugural event. So just a little bit of a description of what we're doing and an invitation to others. Obviously, getting federal partners on the phone or being a part of this is very critical. When I was at 18F, I heard from so many folks across government that they wanted to see more of what was available from the vendors. And essentially kind of an open market research kind of event. And so that's what we're doing with the ATARC DevOps Tech Syncs. What you'll see here on a bi-weekly basis is vendors coming in and letting you know, letting you see, and giving you the opportunity to see a bit of a demo of what they have that's available. It's going to be open and transparent, kind of a marketing research kind of thing from an acquisition standpoint. But we're really excited about it. So if you're with the federal government, feel free to invite your colleagues, let them know that this is also going to be recorded. So if they can't make it because of a calendar conflict, no big deal. We'll be posting it on LinkedIn and folks can see it later. And if you are a vendor and you want to get on stage and show folks what you and your organization, the product and services you have available, just feel free to reach out to me. I'll share my email here shortly. Otherwise, thank you all for being here. Samir, thanks for presenting today and being the first one on stage. Kirsten, before we really get going here and hand it off to Samir, anything from your standpoint, ma'am?
You said it all. Thank you so much. And thanks everyone here attending.
Yeah, thank you all. Otherwise, Samir, without any further ado, why don't you take it away?
Sure. Thank you, Brian, Kristen, and everybody who's joining and has joined. So welcome to this inaugural event for the DevOps Community of Practice. As Brian just kind of described, the intent is to just give you a little bit of a taste of what it is. Trying to do a full demo in about 10 minutes is never going to do any product any justice, but hopefully it'll give you some idea of what's available. So with that, where I want to begin with is a thought experiment, right? Is think about what is going on in the world. There used to be a tagline, software is eating the world. It's no longer eating the world. It has already eaten the world. It's already there. And there's technical debt. There's a lot of software that has been built over many, many years, a lot of processes that are defined around those softwares. And we are in a very interesting position with regards to DevOps. We are in the crux of building the said software using software. So we just have like a total meta relationship with software. That's just something really interesting. Anyway, while you're on this thought experiment, I want you to think about how much software do you touch to do your work, right? It probably not something top of your mind, but if you think about it, you're right now you're at a laptop, you're viewing this, so you're touching software. Anything that you're doing, you're writing a Word document, you're touching software. So it's just there, it's everywhere. How much repetitive work do you do, especially if you're in the development area, development, security, operations? Think about how much repetitive work you're doing. And then ask yourself, why is that not automated? It's a very interesting question. It's something that's taught to all the folks who come through like computer science programs. I remember I was sitting in a university room many years back, and that is exactly the question my teacher proposed, my professor proposed. She said, why are things not automated? And she laid out a wonderful picture about robots and self-automated things. Yet here we are today, people doing a bulk of the load in non-automated fashion. Why is that? Why is that happening, right? So think about that. Think about how collaboration is occurring internally and externally. How much of it happens verbally versus written down in some sort of software in some manageable way. And then think about how the version of that information is kept alive, right? You look at these blog posts from like 10 years ago and you kind of go, oh, that's 10 years old. I wish there was something new about this. Like, where is that? And that happens. And then finally, I want you to consider how that stuff could be simpler. That's really critically the point of this discussion today. Now, before I go too much farther, all of you might be wondering who in the world Samir is and why is he talking on my screen and why is he wasting my lunch hour, or if you're in Central Time, or why are you making me sleepy after lunch if you're in Eastern Time? Well, the reason is because I am a developer. I've been in development area for a long time. I've also spent a number of years doing application security. I have a background in machine learning and data science and AI. I have a college degree in AI, and I am a published author in artificial intelligence. So I have a little bit of street cred there. But let me add to that. I am part of ATARC DevOps working group. I'm an industry vice chair. And one of the things that we have done is actually develop a methodology around DevOps, DevSecOps. So that kind of takes to the personal story about software development, right? So as part of the ATARC group that was trying to come up with a DevOps or DevSecOps methodology, we wrote up a whole bunch of things that should happen for any operational DevOps to be possible. And it was written with the context of writing it around open source software, and we did that. Now, what was happening initially, and this is my view and my view only, is there were a lot of people who were working on stuff, but it required front loading of environments where software was loaded, and then you kind of plugged your scripts into the software, and then you waited for that environment to be created and that software to be set up, and then you put your script in there, and then you validated that script. So just the part of writing the DevOps methodology was cumbersome enough to do that. So it took a lot of effort to switch that around, and I'll get through that story in a little bit, but I want to kind of keep that thread hanging in terms of what we did there, where we started. And then beyond that, I have a lot of other personal interest projects that I'm part of. I'm a part of the open source community. I do deliver a lot of software through that. And of course, I work at Gitlab, which is an open core software. So you don't get more open source than that, really, in my opinion. Now, what is happening is that as software development matures, and most of you I know don't have your head stuck in the sand, know that security is becoming a problem as well. So not only do you have to write more sophisticated and interesting software, because everybody's kind of used to the one tap or one touch or one click thing, and now you have to make sure it's secure and it's working in the way it should, and nobody's going to hack it and things like that. So every step of the way, people are looking at, well, how do I solve this one little thing? How do I solve this one little thing? Nothing wrong with that. That's how you solve problems. But then nobody's putting all that together to really solve the larger problem here, which is suddenly the developer's life cycle, the security people's life cycle, the operation people's life cycles have gotten so much more difficult because there are just so many tools they have to touch just to get their day-to-day work done. And that kind of leads to the four phases of DevOps, right? So there used to be a time when you could just bring your own tool and you could build whatever you wanted to, however you wanted to. Then industry started getting a little bit more smart, and people said, well, we're going to pick the best of the best that gives us this kind of capability. And that's good, because now you're starting to align that, you're starting to weed out some of the things that you don't want. Then what happened is, as DevOps teams kind of started working on it, they went, well, we like these softwares that we've picked, but they don't talk to each other the way we want them to talk to. So now I'm going to write a plugin that talks to this and talks to that, and that other thing talks to that. And then I got to do a data lake so I can pull all this data out and find reports and find out how I'm delivering value to my business mission, to what I'm doing in the world. And that's kind of where GitLab has come into play, is to say, look, you don't need to worry about how to manage all your software and create this data lake and pull all that data and create your reports. What you need is something that is a turnkey solution where you sit in front of it and you're able to do majority of your work. We don't claim to do all your work, but you got to be able to do a lot of what you do in one single pane of glass, rather than having to go to like 5 different solutions and then bring in the whole zero trust aspect, right? How many of you work with single sign-on and sign on more than once every few minutes? Is that really single sign-on? Yeah, it is. But that's not because of what you do or what the security people do. It's because your business process has gotten so complicated. You need all these softwares to do your work. So clean all that out. Do this in one platform. That's the process and methodology that GitLab is offering in terms of the way to work. So one platform, one user interface, one way to log in, one permission model, unified data model. You pull the data out and it's got all your metrics in it because you're putting all the work into it. You're not putting it in 5 different places. And then let's not forget, every software package you buy and you install and you manage, you got to have an administrator. You got to have that person working with the tech support of that particular software company and making sure everything's running right. God forbid some vulnerabilities showed up. Now you have to upgrade one piece of software and worry about the entire ecosystem from breaking. The fragility of your DevOps is at stake here. That results to developer experience being bad. That results to burnout for developers because they keep doing work and they can't because the system's down. One little component died and they can't do anything. That's a huge impact. So where we want to go with that is kind of think about how you want to plan your work, where you want to share your code and ideas and how you want to do that, how collaboratively you want to do that. You have to think of DevOps in a completely different way. You have to think of it not as, well, I've got this team that does X, and then I've got this team that does Y, and they don't talk to each other except for when we have meetings. That has to go away. It's got to be, it's a collaborative effort. And believe it or not, if you think about what security people are telling you, it's not a security person sport. It's a team sport. Everybody's got to be in it. Well, how do you do that if you're not communicating and collaborating and working with each other and getting things done quicker and faster and smoother? You're never going to get to that point. So, and speaking of security, I do want to talk about this big elephant that's in the room that everybody's going to have to grapple with sooner or later. And that's the executive order, right? Is you got to have to do your zero trust. You're going to have to implement your secure software development framework. You're going to have to do these things. And if you are in the situation where you're now going and buying each individual tool to do your secure software development framework process, guess what you're going to do next? You're going to have to go and knit all these tools together, get all these dashboards working right, get all that information out. And you're so much behind the curveball if you think about it. So think about how you want to accelerate that, get this in place before the rubber meets the road and you're reported, you're suddenly measured on it, right? So you want to do that. So with that, I'm going to pause here. I'm going to move to a demonstration. If there are any questions that come in, please feel free to put them in the chat. I know Brian and Kristen are watching the chat. But in the meantime, I'm going to really zip through a 5-minute demo because I know I want to keep some time at the end for question and answers. But what you see here is the GitLab screen. And essentially, GitLab organizes things as groups. And then within groups, you can have projects at any level. So you could have subgroups and then projects within that. Now, this helps with locking down certain things from certain people. and allowing access to certain things to certain people. So you have natural built mirroring of how your directory structure would be to how GitLab organizes projects. Now, I'm going to say this very, very clearly, and everybody needs to understand. GitLab isn't just a code repository. A lot of people think, oh, GitLab, yeah, that's Git. It's just, no, it's not just that. It's a lot more than that. And believe it or not, our competitors are catching on to that, and they're building all the functionality that GitLab has already had for the last 5 years. So keep that in mind as well from a perspective of what we offer. So I've got my project over here. I've got epics, so I can manage the work. Notice as I'm navigating through, I am not leaving my single browser window, and I'm not logging in 5 different places. I'm able to just navigate through one page. I'm picking a epic, and as you can see in here, I've got a whole bunch of issues, and what we call issues, what might be work items, what might be user stories, what might be test cases, whatever it is. And I can nest my epic so I can actually see what's going on. So as you can see over here, I can see all the different work items that are being worked on, who's working on them, when they were due, if they're past due, and if they're past due, then there's an at-risk label on it. So from a management perspective, I have visibility of what's going on. Now, some of you may say, oh yeah, my Jira does this, or my ServiceNow does this. Yeah, absolutely does it. No question about that. When I click into it though, I can look at exactly the work that is going on. So I can see as it loads, sorry, my laptop's running a little bit slow today. But as you can see, I can see all the details of what transpired. Who did what, who committed what, who mentioned what. All of those conversation stays along with that. I click into what we call merge request, what some of you might call pull request. And that information is once again in the same window. I'm not switching applications or tools or anything. I can click on this changes tab where I can see all the different code changes that I might have made. And in this case, I've made quite a lot of code changes, just as an example to show that we can list a whole bunch of stuff. I can also do my code review right over here. As you can see, that pointy-haired boss has actually put a code comment. This will cause the site to break. Oh my goodness, pointy-haired boss is telling me site's gonna break. That's really bad. Anywho, I can do things like that. I can resolve those threads. I can work through this as a developer. I go back to my overview, and what I see is there's my branch. Code branches are merged and available here. I can see the pipeline ran. I can see that the build step ran. I can see all the different security tools ran, so on and so forth. And by the way, GitLab packages 7 different kinds of security tools right in the pipeline. You don't have to go buy anything. You buy GitLab, you get them all. That's the whole sale point of GitLab, is you don't have to go and buy all these different things and knit them together. GitLab gives you all the capability right at your fingertips. There is an approval process built in here as well. So I can have, once again, that pointy-haired boss approve something. In this case, it's actually a security thing. Security scanning delivered results. Let me expand that. Oh my goodness, there are all these different container scan things that it had found. And because there were some criticals and highs, this pointy-haired boss had to accept the risk and approve it. Once he approved it, then I was able to merge this code. So think about where all this is happening. It's happening way before your code has even gotten out of the pen and started causing all kinds of trouble. The security is involved right up front. At this point, I could actually look at the security finding. And as you can see, I can see the details of it. I can see what it's affecting, what CVE it's violating. What should I do to fix that problem? And then if I want, I can create an issue right from here. And if I click on create an issue, I'll copy all of that data and put it in an issue. One click. I didn't have to take it out of my security tool, copy paste into it a spreadsheet, bring it over to my other tool and paste it in there. I didn't have to do any of that. Magic right away. One single window. I haven't crossed that boundary yet. And then last but not least, I have a security dashboard, which shows me all the different details. Once again, coming back to the whole EO idea or executive order idea, I have the ability to see my dependency list right over here. By the way, GitLab now delivers Cyclone DX format dependency list as well. So the same data that you see here comes out as Cyclone DX. You can pull it into another tool as you want. And I can see that this particular include has all these criticals and highs. That's a problem. I got to work on this. We're making it very visible at the development level for people to do stuff and be able to do it effectively. And I've barely touched the tip of the iceberg when I'm talking about GitLab. I haven't looked at issue boards. I haven't looked at merge requests. I haven't looked at deployment areas, Kubernetes integrations. I haven't looked at package registry and container registry. Everything at your fingertips in GitLab. You install this, you turn it on, and it's all there for you from day one. You're not knitting anything, you're not managing anything. It's all there for you. So I'm gonna stop right over here, and I'm gonna turn it back over to Brian.
Yeah, and for the audience, if you have any questions, drop them in chat. And one that came in from Robert was, Samir, what's the difference between GitLab and GitHub? And I think you offered the answer in kind of a generic way. You mind getting a little specific?
Sure. So GitLab is an open source, open core product. You can actually go to gitlab.com and review the source code of GitLab and how it's implemented. It all stems from Git repository. GitHub was always closed source. It used Git, which is an open source product, as its core, but it built an ecosystem around it for open source development and other development to happen in the world. It was first in the market to kind of do that part and had a lot of traction because they did a lot of right things with a lot of the right kind of development areas. GitLab, however, was sort of under the shadow, and it developed what it did. Now, there was a turning point where in GitLab, one of the senior engineers came up with the idea of, why do I need a CI/CD tool that's outside, like a separate tool, like Jenkins or CircleCI or Travis CI? Why don't we build that in GitLab and connect it to the Git repository that we have? And that's what we did. And what that did was, it suddenly, if you think about the 10 different steps of DevOps and how much time it takes you to go from one step to the other step, and how many softwares and connections it has to traverse, GitLab solved that problem very early on. About 5-6 years back, it solved that problem. And we started developing a lot of the features around it. So GitHub, on the other hand, did not do that. It kind of stayed where it was. It got issues, and it had, or issues as in, ticket items that you can manage. And it was trying to do a few things. And then came Microsoft and bought them out. So GitHub is now a Microsoft company, and it is trying to do what we've been doing for a number of years, and it's trying to catch up in that industry. And so there's a little bit of difference in what they offer and what we offer. The first thing that I do want to mention is GitLab is an open core product. What you see is what you get with it. It's not some packaged product that you install in your environment, and then you kind of have to worry about what's in it. So that's a huge differentiator between GitHub and GitLab. All right.
Next question is from John. Are any of these features available from the ATARC DevSecOps working groups page? Specifically, is it possible for someone in the audience to download and use any of these features today?
Yes, absolutely. So with the DevSecOps working group, we wrote a blog post about it. We have made all of our work public. If you go to gitlab.com/ATARC, you will see all the work that's there. And I can do that while we are here, gitlab.com/ATARC. So as part of the lab work that we did at ATARC in the DevOps working group, we've got a Java sample app, which is just the sample application, but it is an exemplar of the kind of build and testing pieces that you can put together with GitLab. So we've actually defined all the stages, and we've actually implemented all those stages in its CI YAML file. And all you have to do is just basically examine that, and you'll get all the details that you need. And in fact, this is exactly how GitLab operates. Is there are templates that we provide, you implement them, and you're good to go. You don't have to reinvent the wheel on that. All right, any other questions?
Next one is about FedRAMP. Is there a timeline for FedRAMP compliant hosted offering of GitLab.com?
Yeah, great question. I can't say that there is a timeline that I can put my money on, because as we all know, FedRAMP takes its course. We are working towards it. We have engaged from what I understand, we have engaged the parties that are necessary to get it there. We are looking for sponsors. If there is a sponsor who would be willing to help us get there faster, we would absolutely appreciate that. But it takes its own course. We have to meet all the compliance parameters, and then we'll get there. But we are working on it. It is a very high priority item for us. We're certainly working on that right now.
Yeah, no, that's probably a bigger issue, is just the interest from the vendor standpoint to make the time and money investment to do the FedRAMP thing, which if you all are doing it, thank you. Yeah, to make that more easily available. One thing I'd let the group know is with the Devops Community event we just had a week or two ago, where Derek and Robert from USGS were presenting where they were currently at. Back when I was leading that development group, we were using GitHub, and it was a big deal just to do a code repository initially. And after I left, they transitioned and moved into GitLab. And so if you'd like to understand the difference and like what a federal group has experienced by transitioning to GitLab, Derek and Robert would be good ones to talk to as far as folks on the ground trying something. So Samir, well, is there any other questions that looks like about it? Anyone in the group have any other questions? Otherwise, if you'd like to follow up with Samir or Jennifer, she's on the call as well. Jennifer and Samir, if you wouldn't mind just dropping your email in the chat. If you want to deep dive, really get at it on some specific detail of GitLab, it's probably best just to set some time up, get your technologists on your end together. This event is all just about keeping it quick, leaving folks a little bit hungry. And if you want to know more, we'll help connect you with them. Otherwise, Samir, thank you so much. Samir, anything else in closing from GitLab's perspective?
There are a lot of individuals in the federal government and state and local everywhere who are very interested in GitLab. And, you know, I want to say that they are making the right choices. I've been a software developer for many, many years. And I'll tell you, my whole lifestyle changed when I got into GitLab. I don't have to worry about, oh, do I have this tool? Where do I install it? How many laptops I can scrounge up so I can prop up my development environment? None of that. I'm able to do this very, very quickly. So that would be my suggestion as a practitioner. Also, from a security perspective, I was a security practitioner. I almost got my CISSP. Unfortunately, I never actually sat through the exam for various reasons. But I will tell you, I mean, I'm looking at the security stuff that GitLab is doing and is able to handle. It makes work so much easier. And people who are not looking at that are not really considering how the world is working now and should be working in the future. So whatever you're doing today, I'm sure is awesome, great, keep doing that. That's version 1.0. Think about how to bring your second version out and make that better than what you have now, right? So you gotta compete against yourself, not against everybody else. How are you doing better? How are you delivering your mission better? And we're here to assist you in that process.
One quick One quick
Jennifer?
plug too
Yeah.
for the HARC DevSecOps working group. If you're not a part of it and you're in the federal government and you want to come and learn and have the opportunity to play in the sandbox, we have the tech available and we've got some really smart and talented folks from the government, including John Sosha and Ian Anderson. I see some of you on here today that help to teach, to share best practices. So thanks all who do help that. And if you haven't, lean in. Kirsten can help you get you registered. We want to make an impact and we want to help the government move forward with technology to digitally transform.
Thanks, everyone. And also
Yeah.
a quick plug for our HARC YouTube channel where all the recordings are posted. We have a playlist specifically for the DevOps community of practice, and I put the link in the chat. So if you go subscribe to that channel, you'll be notified every time there's a new upload and help support our channel as well.
This has been great today. Samir, thank you so much. Jennifer, thanks for those details. And Kirsten and Haley, thank you so much for your support today and putting this all together and making it not just happen, but happen and look so professional. Much appreciated. Thank you all. Keep looking out on LinkedIn. We're going to post the video after this, and more to follow from this this group. So thank you all so much.
Thanks all. Looking forward to the next one. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.